I'm Jane Carlin. I'm the library director here at the University of Puget Sound and also a board member of Puget Sound Book Artists. And we're delighted to be co-hosting this event to share information about the Puyallup Tribal Language Program in our community today. We're so honored to welcome Amber Hayward, Paige Pettibon, and Jessica Spring to our virtual space this afternoon, and to share their work with the Puyallup Tribal Language Program and their work in the community. I'd like to start our program with sharing this land acknowledgement. Puyallup people have lived on and stewarded these lands since the beginning of time and continue to do so today. We recognize this land acknowledgement is only one small step towards true allyship, and we commit to uplifting the voices, experiences, histories of the indigenous peoples of this land and beyond. Our three speakers will share their work and experiences. Amber will speak first, then Paige, and then Jessica. A short introduction. Amber Hayward was born on the Puyallup Reservation, where both of her parents were born and raised. She is enrolled in the tribe of her father, the Puyallup tribe. Amber and the majority of her family unit reside on the east side of Tacoma, on the ancestral lands of the Puyallup people, where she raises her two sons. She began working for the Puyallup Tribe of Indians in 2002 as an accounting intern, and then she transferred to the Historic Preservation Department and worked with the tribal historian. And now she is the director of the Puyallup Tribal Language Program. Paige Pennebon is a visual artist based here in Tacoma, Washington. She was raised on the Puyallup Reservation and has been welcomed by the Puyallup tribe, working as a mentor to youth and a mentee to the Puyallup Tribal Language Department. As an artist, Paige strives to develop her fine art skills as well as cultural art skills, and her work that we'll see soon shows her influences of upbringing and her strong cultural ties. Jessica Spring, of course, perhaps needs no introduction to many of us as a PSBA member, but it is important to recognize Jessica as an educator, a printer, and as an advocate for the arts. She has played a major role in promoting arts in Tacoma. She is the recipient of numerous awards and recognition, and Jessica uses the power of her letterpress to advocate and support for art throughout our community. And she recently produced the broadside featured in our program invitation in support of the Puyallup Tribal Language Program. Please join me in welcoming all three of our speakers. And Amber, the screen is now yours to share.
Amber Stewart Hayward Seed Stat Spoyalapabs Chud Yapti Salish Yapti Squelch Uyayush Chud Twa Tis Spoyalapabs Twa Sali Achi Alaruf Tu Yayush Chud Tis Lala Olo Badi Yapti Toshot Zirari Astasha Chud Tit Salas Ali Ati Swatufta Tis Spoyalapabs Asko Atid Siaya Ati Shuf Uf Debadbada Amani Tista Tis Aso Avery Tista Tis let's see middle Ali Sista Asibibada Sto Ilchad Totisa Slab de Bootlid Altislachel. Good day, everybody. Sorry, I have like just ate something and it's like in my throat, but that's good for Lashutsi. But my name is Amber Stewart Hayward, and I am a Puyallup tribal member. My mom is also enrolled in the Salish tribe, and she's also Black. So identify those three. I live on the Puyallup Reservation with my family. Since that bio there, I added another kiddo. So I have three kiddos actually, Amani, Avery, and Ali. And so we live in Tacoma on the Puyallup Reservation, and I've worked for the Puyallup tribe for about 20 years. formerly in the Historic Preservation Department for about 8 years, really good time and work there. Definitely still part of my heart is there as well. And then about 9 years here in the language program. And so today I did want to go over, just in case folks don't know about the Puyallup language. Usually I do get lots of questions, a lot of general questions. So I'm hoping I'm not, saying folks don't already know what's going on, but I just would like to share our perspective. And I'll just talk before I share the screen. So the Puyallup Tribal Language Program has been, I think, going on about 15, 16 years. And so we're actually a part of our tribal government. We do not operate off of grants. We are a government program under our tribal government. And we have been really, really hard at work in trying to revitalize the Lushootseed language here. And I will share screen at this point so I can tell you a little bit about Lushootseed. This is our website. It's puyalluptriballanguage.org. There is everything you need to know in this website here. So we're gonna go to what is Lushootseed. I'm not going to go into and read all of this for you, but this is where you're going to get some information about our tribal language. Probably one of the biggest questions I get is, what is the difference between Lushootseed and Lushootseed? So again, if you want some more information and read up, there's a lot here. So for general purposes, there are 13 different tribes around the Puget Sound region that speak what we call Lushootseed, and that term was coined by linguist Tom Hess, who put together our dictionary. He took the word, and I think, yes, it's right here, Lushootseed, right here. So that was too hard for English speakers to say, so he cut off this D, X-rays W, and just called it Lushootseed. So that was a non-native linguist choosing that name to cover all of our languages. They are all the exact same languages. It would be equivalent to saying in English, here we are in the United States and we speak English. However, somebody that lives in Washington State versus somebody in New York, we're clearly speaking English to each other. But what's the difference? There's dialectal differences. There's these little pockets that folks from New York are clearly going to have an understanding of what they're saying, and then speak to somebody over here and we're like, huh? Like, but we end up figuring it out. And again, there's no question that we aren't speaking English. We are. So that's the equivalent to all of our Lushootseed speaking tribes. It's all one language, just we have a northern dialect, the predominant ones, and then a southern dialect. And so I don't know so we have Tulalip, Stillaguamish, Soxswaddle, Swinomish, Skagit. Those are the northern Lushootseed speaking tribes. And then we have Suquamish, Snoqualmie, Muckleshoot, Puyallup, Nisqually, and Squaxin Island covering the south. And then even within each tribe, we have our own idiolect. So there are pockets of different tribes that are going to have a little differences as well. So for example, Puyallup shares a pretty close with Nisqually, Squaxin, and Suquamish. And then Muckleshoot and Snoqualmie have a couple little idiolects that are their own. And so that's just an example. And so each of our individual tribes will call our language, which is the same language, we have different names for it that we reference it as. So for the Southern Lushootseed dialect that we use, the term we use is Lushootseed, which is this word right here. You'll have Muckleshoot and Snoqualmie, they call theirs Lushootseed or Buckleshoot. And then up north, they call theirs Lushootseed. So there's just a different way each tribe says that the name of their language, and we also might just call it. So for example, Suquamish, they call their Soquabsh Otseed, Suquamish language. Muckleshoot calls theirs Buckleshoot Oatseed, Muckleshoot language. We could do that too. We could say Puyallup Oatseed, but we say Twosh Oatseed. And so that's the general understanding of what our language is called and the tribal groups that speak Lushootseed. And then we are under the umbrella of Salish language family. And so you can see here, I think that's another thing. I think there's a lot of confusion in this area. I hear all the time, hey, can I get a Salish translation for blah, 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 or you speak Salish, you know? So there's this really big kind of confusion on that. And I think the word Salish gets thrown out quite a bit without people really understanding. And so I guess, again, equivalent would be Latin, right? How many languages are under that? That's the equivalent. So our language family is called the Salish language family. Paige and I, our mothers are enrolled in the Salish tribe in Montana. There's actually a Salish tribe, right? And they speak Salish. And it's a complete, different language, but we're all under the same umbrella called the Salish language. So I did want to kind of clarify that. They had a reasonable understanding that these groups here had enough tie and enough similarity that at some point they believe these languages all originated from the same language. And so here is a kind of a map here. Here is a map of the Salish language family. So it goes all the way over to Montana, goes to Canada, a little bit down into Oregon there as well. And so, like, for example, the word for mom in Lushootseed is Koi. The word for mom on the Flathead Reservation in Montana in Salish is Koi. So it's the exact same word. So again, that's just, look how far apart we were, and at some point there are lots of similarities. Here's a northern and southern outline here for the Lushootseed language. So there's a lot of good information here. If you want to continue reading and learning about that, again, I'm not going to go into all of it. Here's some differences in northern and southern Lushootseed. So he has some tables here. It goes all the way down. So again, a lot of stuff people are not, always very clear on, but, we hope our website makes it understandable and easy to digest. So I did want to give you a little bit about Lushootseed. And for each of these tribes, there are either very thriving language programs happening. Puyallup has a really big, awesome language program, lots of teachers. Sockswaddle has a steady now and consistent couple teachers, and they're going out into the community and starting, kind of grassroots. But you have Muckleshoot has a language program. Suquamish has just started beefing up their program too. They added more staff, and so you'll have there are absolute efforts going out in each of our communities. And Lushootseed has never really left our communities. However, it was definitely removed from us. And so we don't have first language speakers alive, which means that was the first language that they spoke, and both of their parents spoke it. So nobody is alive that we can say that about. So we don't have somebody that we can go pull on and say, hey, grandma, how do you say, da, 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 da. We don't have anybody anymore. And so what we do have is the dictionary that I referenced earlier by Tom Hess. He got with many first language speakers, so he absolutely had access to them. Worked on the dictionary. He has multiple informants, and then he worked very closely with Vi Hilbert, who was Upper Skagit elder, and her life's work was to keep Lushootseed alive. And so the Puyallup tribe works with Zalmai Uswalizai here, who worked directly with Vi Hilbert, and he worked with Tom Hess, and he had access to first language speakers as well. And so he has pretty much from 10 years up, so about 40 years of being immersed in Lushootseed culture. His stepfather is my great uncle, Don Matheson. So his stepfather was a Puyallup tribal member. So he's the closest thing that we have to a speaker. He also happens to be an amazing linguist too. So we're just really grateful for him. So that's kind of the status of Lushootseed. It never really left. We always had words here and there, but over the past 7 years in our program, we were really able to increase the number of speakers. And so this can apply to you. Start thinking about your ancestral languages right now. Start thinking about where your grandma and grandpa came from and what languages they spoke, or start right now thinking about a language that is maybe very dear to you, because maybe your partner speaks a different language, right? Or maybe your kids, or maybe your neighbor that you're very good friends with speaks a different language. So start thinking about this as I start telling you what our process is. So for us, and across the United States, white linguists and anthropologists and archaeologists came into our communities with how they do things. So when they recorded us, they have in their brain, well, this is how we do it in English. So this is how we're going to do it with this tribal language. And so English is very noun heavy. Nouns are very important in English. And so what linguists were doing was going through to these tribal communities, and our languages are nothing like English. So they were writing noun list. Can you say cat? Can you say dog? Can you say boy? Can you say girl? Just going through all these nouns, and it wasn't even like normal speech. It wasn't normal speech. So a lot of times there's really not good documentation on that, because again, we're coming with this perception of English, and this is how we do things in English. And so you'll have tribes who are still using those methods, the noun list. This is this. This is that, you know, and it doesn't produce speakers. And so you have first language speakers who are now dying out. And when you're using this teaching model of a Western model that doesn't work on tribal languages, look at how quick our languages are getting snuffed out. They're not continuing on. This is why, you know, a lot of folks have just these, oh, I know how to say these animal names, or I can count to 10, 20. But you know, how often are you saying black bear every day? You know, it's good to know, but it's not something you're using every day. And so for our linguist, he came here and he said, I've done that method for 30 years and it didn't produce any speakers. And so what he had us working on, actually I will show you guys who I'm talking about, so you know who when I'm speaking here. This is our program. So we have on the far left is Chris Duenas. He is our media and web developer. He makes all of our beautiful videos and graphics. We have Archie Cantrell, who is one of our Lushootseed instructors. This is Zalmai Zahir, the linguist I was telling you about, and his stepfather is Puyallup. And by the way, everybody here is Puyallup. We have David Suela Duenas, who is one of our instructors as well. We have Chris Bryden, language instructor, and there is me, probably about 15 pounds lighter. Dang it, you know, that quarantine gets you. So this is our staff. And so Zeke showed up on the scene, and it was just myself and Chris Duenas in the program. And so he had to kind of get all of this old teachings out of our head that wasn't working. Right? So he was like, I need you to use the language. A lot of it was memorized, or we weren't vocalizing it. Maybe we were writing it down and have an understanding of grammar, but that wasn't getting us to use the language at all. And so we had to, he had to like kick us into gear and try to do our brains and get us focused on using it. So we incorporate conversation. What did you do? Where did you go? Who did you see? Then we incorporate self-narration. So, and in establishing language nests in our home. And so We had started off with just Chris Duenas and I 7 years ago, being considered speakers. I think we're up to like 200 folks now that we can say in the region that are actually speaking Lushootseed. And so our service group that we focus on is the Puyallup tribal community. If we are helping everybody else and taking requests from everybody else in the whole wide world who wants Lushootseed, then we aren't going to be able to do our job well in our own community. So that is our first and foremost primary focus, is our community, our entities, folks that work for our community, folks that have our kids. So that is our group. But on here, I'll just kind of go very quickly here. Here's our resources. So if any of you are like, you know, I really like to kind of learn some of that Lushootseed, maybe, you know, I'd like to, you know, just get started. Here is a get started. You know, we have a lot of basic things where there's audio connected to it. We also have, if you're interested in like, oh, what would a conversation look like here? Here's different conversation topics, and a lot of them do have, I think there's a video. Yes, there is. So we even show you how to do it. And folks, there is another question that is, you know, I'm not native. Can I speak your language? And the answer is yes, please, because this is our reservation. We would like Lushootseed to be spoken on our reservation. If you go to another country that speaks another language, what do you do before you go there? You freshen up, right? Or you freshen up, or you try to learn some phrases so that you can function while you're there and speak to the local folks there. And so that's what I would say. I don't know if any of you speak any other languages, but I've learned at least 10 different greetings and departures in other languages. And when I see somebody that I know speaks maybe German, I can greet. I have a neighbor that's German. So you know, it just makes people feel really good. It's not an offensive thing to do. You're not going to be perfect at it, but the more you practice, the more you use it every day, then you're going to be able to form those muscles and those sounds. And it's just communicate. We don't correct little babies when they say, you know, baba, right? No, say bottle. You know, we don't do that. We know what the baby's saying, right? So we're not into that type of like, you know, you're saying it wrong, so don't say it at all. And so I asked you to think about your own languages, your own ancestral languages, or a language that is important to you, because you can do this exact thing with that language. You can go on here and say, you know what, I really want to like freshen up on my German, right? Or on my Spanish. Okay, how do I even start there? You know, okay, well, they have this chart. I'm going to translate this, or have somebody translate this into my language that I want to learn. And then if you don't have somebody to learn and speak with, then you're going to do this nesting in the home. This is where you don't need to rely on somebody else to speak a language with you. So you're like, I don't have anybody else to speak this language with. I just want to do this by myself, and I don't want to be held back. And so we have these self-narration domains that you can, again, look at. We usually start with brushing teeth and washing hands. So go through those languages and start putting them into your language that you want to learn. And then you put this sign up in your bathroom where you wash your hands, and you verbally say it out loud every time you wash your hands. You don't need anybody else to speak with you. And that's building your grammar, that's building your pronunciation, that's increasing your language usage. And so that is pretty much the time that I have. And so we have some really cool projects that Paige is going to talk about. I mean, we collaborate with, I know this is an art group. We do collaborate with trying to get our language out there in the community in a very pretty way, I guess. And so again, Paige is going to talk to that, and so will Jessica. So I'm trying to wrap my time up because I have completely gone over. Stop share, and I will pass it on to Paige Pettibon.
Ha slacheal twal gwalabu, Paige Pennebon seedsta, Salish chud, Tul Al Chud Salih Sali. Good day to you folks. My name is Paige Pettibon. I'm Salish and I'm from Tacoma. Right here I have where you can find some of my work. My website is paigepettibon.com. I'm also on Instagram at plain2c for my jewelry, and my art can be found at Paige Pettibon. I am a member of the Yahoo Collective. If any of you know what the Yahoo Collective is, it's a collective of Indigenous artists across Coast Salish territories. They have numerous partners, artists, events, all centered around expression of indigeneity. Their original project was an exhibition at Seattle's King Street Station in 2019. Now the project continues to expand into mentorship, creative consulting, community engagement, urban planning, outreach, and so much more. The curatorial team, is Tracy Rector, Asia Tail, and Saprit Kalan. The word Yahoo means to proceed, to move forward, to do the work. And they were drawn to that word from a story told by Hilbert, Lifting the Sky. And that word Yahoo really is embodied throughout their mission in solidarity and support for Indigenous artists. I'm also a Lashutsi level 1 certified teacher, which means I use Lashutsi every day. I know how to speak a little bit of Lashutsi. Like Amber was saying, I self-narrate. I self-narrate in my bathroom, in my kitchen. Another project that I've been working on is self-narrating as I'm creating artwork. I'm also a member of the Lashutsi speaking community, which Amber said is a growing community. It's pretty amazing to see how far we've gone in just such a little amount of time. And I'm just so honored to be welcomed in the Lashutsi speaking community. So this is a digital image that I created, and it says, Iriguat Utta Swatwud. What does the land say? And thinking about where Lashutsi comes from, I'm a visual person, so I interpret language and sound and imagery and my experience in the natural world in a visual representation. And so this is just a little brief picture of listening to a leaf fall, way wolk pod, or chipmunk, squats, or blue jay, sky kite, or fly, or the ocean, holch. And so I tried to interpret my worldview through art. And as I learn Lashutsi, my worldview keeps on changing, so you'll see my art evolve over time. This is a painting that I had on display for the Yahoo show, and it's called Salih Ali Altarpiece. I made this in 2018, and this painting is a reimagination of Jan van Eyck's Ghent altarpiece. Eyck's painting is a large multi-paneled altarpiece that resides in Ghent, Belgium. It's of the Virgin Mary, and she's depicted as a wealthy queen. With Salih Ali altarpiece, I wanted to reclaim language and disrupt these Western norms of how we describe and think of fine art and who are master painters. For too long, fine art spaces have excluded Indigenous folks. When we look at a museum or galleries, we find our expression is confined to one type of medium or one type of style. By using language and incorporating culture, I believe I can transform public perception. As I mentioned before, Ike's altarpiece depicts the Virgin Mary as a wealthy queen. For me, wealth comes from knowledge. When I use the language, I'm giving or paying Lashutseed back. In the background, I have Lashutseed, a Lashutseed prayer that we say, and I have some Coast Salish elements and salmon and paying homage to our animal relatives. And I have a little bit of Lashutseed in very small print in the book in this image as well. I was taught by my mentor, Aswali, that Amber mentioned before. He taught me that we had written language through artistic design in baskets. And so I think about, how language can be used without written words or audio, and this is an example of a design that I made for a pair on a pair of earrings. And just thinking about wearable art and language. This is a beaded medallion I made for Chris Bryden from the Puyallup Tribal Language Department. Together, we came up with this design, and whenever he wears this medallion, he transforms and only speaks Lashutseed. Here are some collaborations that I've done. This isn't everything, but it's just a taste of some projects that I have done in the past, and I have been working on a lot of different projects in Tacoma and also throughout the state and Oregon and just all over the place. It's been a pretty interesting year, but I really love working with the Lashutseed speaking community and Chief Fleshite schools and creating images for the Puyallup Tribal Language Department and for the city of Tacoma. Just being able to use Lashutseed and have cultural references is really important to me, to speaking to people in our community. So the first image I have is a design I made for the song and dance youth at Chief Fleshite. To the right of that, that's me with my Lashutseed speaking sisters. We have class together once a week, and we are a little support unit for each other. And we also support each other outside of class. And Irene, she's the owner of Hutch, which is a clothing brand that focuses on Lashutseed and Lashutseed culture. And so together we come up with collaborations of designs, stickers and such. And we have actually a couple different designs coming out in the next few months that I'm really excited about. Underneath that, you'll see a little girl wearing a blue jingle dress. This design is, this was made for postcards to be sent out to the Highline School District. My friend Kayla Guyette, she's a Lashutseed speaker as well, and she works for the Highline School District. And she sent these out at the beginning of COVID as a way to reach out to the youth and to have them feel seen and to take care of themselves and to have good thoughts extended to them. To the right of that is a yard sign design that I made in collaboration with Amber. These signs are on the Puyallup Reservation, and these were gifts to bring out to the community during this time. Obo, Ob, Kwahwalik, Abalik, which are the three virtues of the Puyallup Tribal Language Department, which means to be kind, be helpful, and to be sharing. Underneath that, on the left, you'll see a picture of reading and oral stories with Paige Pettibon. This was a short video that I made for the city of Tacoma during October Arts Month. And I mix storytelling, traditional storytelling and English and Lashutseed together with community youth. And it's a really sweet video with inspiration from Reading Rainbow that I did. And also I have a land acknowledgement collaboration that I worked with for alma mater that will be coming out in the next few months that I'm excited to look forward to. And Amber also helped out with the words for that land acknowledgement. Next, I have a video. This video is a Lashutsi only tutorial. It's very short. And this is something that it's a little series that I'm creating with my mentor on how to make little videos on how to draw like little shapes for anyone at all different levels of creating art.
Suchala ches quis chalak. Su talchad ches qui quaad. Yufti safcha. Yufti pipa. Quadidaf chef ti quaad. Chefa tag tash alta pipa. Quadidaf chef tad safcha. Chef chalad ilotseed at quaad. O chaladaf ched buk ilotseed at quaad. Hi ched o chalad tis kalak. Huyaf ched.
And that is all for my presentation. And I will pass it on to Jessica Spring.
So I have a very short involvement with working with Amber, but hopefully we'll have opportunities to continue. We met through Amy McBride, who's the Tacoma Arts Administrator. And I had mentioned to Amy that I was really interested in doing some printing and maybe creating a land acknowledgement. And in meeting with Amber, I was so inspired by the work that the language program does. And Amber was really encouraging, but also really straightforward. Like, she has a lot of work to do and she's real busy. And I needed to figure out what I could potentially print with my printing press. And in talking to Juliet Shen, who's a type designer, happens to be from Seattle, she designed a typeface of the Lushootseed font in working with the Tulalip tribes. And so kind of connecting these three dots with Amy's help was really amazing. And Juliet suggested that I could potentially borrow the type from the Tulalip tribes, which was amazing. So thankfully, they agreed to that. The wood type was cut in 2009 at the same time that Juliet had designed the typeface. And so Dave Cienko at the tribes made an arrangement during the pandemic, which was kind of amazing, said, drive up here, we'll load it in your car, and you can have it for a month. And I was just sort of gobsmacked to have this opportunity to work with this beautiful type made in Wisconsin that happened to be here. And super excited to share the news with Amber. I brought the type back here to the shop, and of course the month flew by, and was even given an extension to use the type for a little bit longer. And what I decided to do in talking to Amber was just start with something simple. I felt really overwhelmed as a white person wanting to be respectful and do the best I could in this situation. What could I do? So I started with the translation for Tacoma. And so I set it in wood type, and I had to actually set it take a picture and reverse it and send it to Amber and just say, did I really do this correctly? And she was encouraging. And so this was the first thing that I printed just on chipboard, and did a bunch of them. And this is the back that says, where we live on the indigenous lands. Greetings from Tacoma, where we live on the indigenous lands of the Puyallup people. Learn to say Tacoma and Twilsheet at puyalluplanguage.org. So it was a nice way to sort of lead people to the website. And then Amber graciously recorded how to say
Today we are going to go over the Twilsheet word for Tacoma, which is in the ancestral language of the Puyallup tribal people, Puyallup. The word for Tacoma is Saleh Ali. Saleh Ali. The Lushootseed C is actually a TS sound, like in the end of the word cats. So it's tss, tss. We also have a barred L in this word, and you're going to place your tongue on the roof of your mouth behind your teeth and blow around it. Let's try it all together. Saleh Ali. Saleh Ali. Oh, we are finished.
So I'm going to try and say it. Salish Ali. And I love watching that video over and over again and trying to practice. And it's so encouraging to have the website to go to. And so I got more courage to try and do something more complex. And I love the idea of the focusing on the three virtues: be kind, be helpful, be sharing. And this is a photo of that set up and reversed so that I could send it to Amber and make sure it was arranged correctly. And then this is the type locked up and inked in the press. And below it is the land acknowledgement. And that I mostly looked at the website, the language website, to try and get some ideas of what to write, and went back and forth with Amber just to make sure that it felt like it was correct. And also kind of going back and forth, determining if I should say Lushootseed or saying Twilsheet, and trying to get all of that just right. And the other thing that Amber kept saying was, just do it. Stop, you're not going to be perfect. And that was so reassuring, to move forward, do my best, and actually do something. So this is the finished piece, and I had some beautiful all cotton paper. I just had enough, and so I printed 115 of them and posted those, and sort of the story about this collaboration, and they sold out very quickly, which was great. And all the funds went to the language program. Based on that success, of course, I had to return the type, which was a really sad day. I wanted to spend more time with that beautiful type. But Juliet designed a digital version of the typeface, so I could actually make plates. You can see it's a little bit different, but still just equally beautiful. So I changed the design a little bit, didn't have any more of that gorgeous paper, but these are available, and I'll actually put in the link a way, if you all want to, in the conversation, a way if you want to get a copy of that or the postcard, they're available, and the funds will continue to support the language program. So my gratitude to Amber for being gracious enough to collaborate with me. I'm really grateful. Finally, I wanted to share and finish up with thanks to my co-presenters this sweet video. This is my neighbor Shell, who's in first grade, and he, for his school assembly, shared the land acknowledgement, and it just, I saw it and I was, well, you can watch.
Ob, 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 wa, 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 le, wo, aba, le. Be kind, be helpful, be sharing. Are basic virtues of the Lushootseed culture and the language spoken by tribes in the Puget Sound region in Tacoma. We acknowledge we live on indigenous lands of the Puyallup people who cared for their ancestral lands before the Medicine Creek Treaty of 1854 removed Native peoples to clear way for colonial settlement. We are grateful to the Puyallup tribe of Indians who continue to be leaders for justice in our community.
Thank you very much. Justice.
Thank you so much, Jessica, Paige, and Amber. Your work is inspiring, and that video brings tears to my eyes. All three of you exemplify those virtues of being kind, being helpful, and sharing. So thank you so much for being part of our virtual space today. We have time for some questions and comments. And there was one question in the chat just to start off, and that was related to language. Amber, are there oral histories and video recordings of first language speakers available?
Oh, yes. So thank goodness the Lushootseed language was documented well. There are absolutely audio recordings. I think if you even, the UW has some video of some Northern Lushootseed speakers, and you'll see Vi Hilbert in that, speaking with other Northern Lushootseed speakers. So there's absolutely some videos out there, but we rely heavily on the audio for sure.
Thank you. Lots of great thanks and appreciation for your presentations as well. I have a question. What is the age where you really begin to introduce the language in the schools here in Puyallup and in your program?
So we are pretty much birth to elders. There's no starting point. So I have I have a 7-year-old, 7-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And so my 7-year-old was a newborn when I started speaking. So there's no good, time to you just start doing it. It's just like having, how does a baby learn English? Well, you're just talking to the baby. And there's no curriculum. I don't have baby curriculum or anything like that. You just talk, and so making, an environment that's healthy is another very important part. In our tribal school, we do have folks there working on some language. I have 2 of my teachers in the middle school and high school actually teaching it as a world language. And then we've also done work on a college level with University of Washington, Tacoma. And now we're moving toward a multilingual institute that is run by our linguist, Zalmai Zahir. And so again, we have that complete range of everybody's gonna get it.
Great. Abby, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question, or I can ask it for you?
Yeah, thank you, Jean. So first of all, thank you, all 3 of you. It was a wonderful presentation. I actually discovered the online tribal language program website a few months ago, and I see that there's actually a keyboard available as part of the website. And I was wondering how you feel, and then I've been interested in the Duwamish River, and then have walked the Duwamish and seen some signs that contain the Lakotchee language as well as English. So my question is really, how do you feel as native speakers about a non-native artist such as myself incorporating the words in the Lakota language in their work? For example, many of us are book artists, all of us are book artists. And, you know, if we were to properly acknowledge the source of the language and some of the history of the people, again, how would you feel about incorporating us non-native artists incorporating those words?
I think it's really important that non-native folks do that. But I will give like some information for you to help you along the way. I don't think anybody in here speaks Lushootseed outside of Paige and myself. So when you are working with a language that you are unfamiliar with, you're also not qualified to really proof it because you don't even know what it's saying, right? And so my request is, I would love to lay eyes on it before it is turned into some mass publication and it's incorrect. And that happens so frequently. So frequently we'll get shirts that are misspelled and it's so embarrassing. Or, you know, people even, I send you an email, here's what it is. And then when you copy and paste that into whatever program you're doing, sometimes something happens in this other program and it becomes incorrect. We also have times where like Photoshop, it does something to the characters. Depending on what font you choose, it does not support our alphabet. And so those would be the only things that I would caution you on. Even if you say, oh, I got this off the website and I just pasted it, you know, you still don't speak the language. And so it's just always good to run any proofs by me. If it's for your own personal use and you're printing up stuff and putting it in your bathroom because you want to work on it, that's fine. But if it's going in a book or on a t-shirt or on a sign, like I would love to have eyes on it. But I am all for, you know, anybody using the language.
Thank you, Amber. Mark, did you have a question?
I did. I had just recently.
Maybe introduce yourself.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm Mark Hopman. I'm a member of the Puget Sound Book Artists. And I had just recently worked on a collaborative book project with a naturalist. And part of the project involved creating language cards of the Lushootseed language. And what I was wondering is, are you interested in working on partnerships with local artists in developing book projects as part of your educational program? Or maybe the PSBA, the Puget Sound Book Artists, could offer a workshop for simple book structures. Are you interested in this type of activity?
I like it very much. Yes, we have, actually, I'm going to share screen for like 2 seconds here. Show you. So if you go on these downloads and resources, this was our first attempt at creating books. I was like, I want to make some books. So literacy right here. I just want you to go look through them. So these are books that we had our staff actually wrote. They're about 10 pages long. They're only in Lushootseed. However, you know, we understand not a lot of people speak Lushootseed, so we did put a downloadable key in the back. So this is how we decided we were going to make books, and we really went through. We also talked about, you know, we actually have these books physically printed out. You know, do we pass them out? Do we sell them? You know, do we put the entire book, you know, so folks can download them? We decided we weren't going to do that. So these videos have audio connected to it. Paige, she didn't talk about this one. Paige painted all of these books right here. They're so beautiful for our Chief Leshai schools. So we did make an attempt at starting. We also created a textbook for our school, but I would love to have a conversation with you about you know, learning more. Again, we're people that made books, and I've never made a book before, so we just went for it. But I would love some more information. I think that'd be wonderful.
Thanks, Amber. And while I can't speak for our members, I'm sure many people are thinking right away of ways they can collaborate with you. And Paige and Jessica too, I really am inspired by the opportunities for collaboration and for signage. And We've talked a lot here at the University of Puget Sound about ways that we can, as an institution, be more respectful and acknowledge the lands that we work and live on. What is your dream for signage and in Tacoma in general? You talked about signs, the road, the street signs. I know at the University of Washington, Tacoma, there are many bilingual signs. What can we do to help support you in this matter?
That's a really awesome question. I've been asking City of Tacoma and folks, like, where does this funding come from? You guys have your positions where you're at, clearly. You know, I don't have, you know, your job, Jane. I don't have your connections that you have. I don't have, you know, the folks that you work with. And same for each and every one of you on this call. Be thinking about your resources and your circles that you, if you say, like, I really want to help, you know, these folks get out here. Right. You know, and so say you have a proposition, hey, I have this amount of money, just like Jessica did, you know, say she's like, I want to grab Paige and I want to have her, you know, commission her to do the art. And then I'm going to grab the Lachute seed from Amber and I'll put these in these stores, you know, or say at your workplace, you want to incorporate the Lachute seed land acknowledgement on your emails, you know, or yeah, there's a beautiful sign back there. City of Tacoma asked if they could use these, we made 5 yard signs, and they asked if they could use their money to print them. And I said, please do that. And then they're going to do a distribution at the end of this month. So please keep your eye out. They're going to go to, I think, 4 different locations. I want to say the end of next week. And they're going to just be sticking them in the ground. I think I know one spot is right by the UW, the welcome figure by Sean Peterson. They're just going to put a whole bunch in the ground so people can walk by and grab them. And they are these signs here. That's how they said, this is how we'll support you. Jessica said, you know, we're going to support, I'm going to support you, and this is what I can do. This is what I can offer. We would absolutely love to do that type of work. We would love if, again, your resources, your finances, your expertise, you know, we would love to be able to, you know, like really tap into that. You know, people think, oh, you guys are the tribe, you got money. I probably have one of the smallest budgets out of the entire, you know, all the departments. So I don't have a lot of money. So I just try to, you know, work however we can. So if you folks are thinking like, how can I just think about, you know, again, what you know you have and what you can offer, and that's really helpful.
Thank you so much. I heard the bells toll to 1 o'clock, and I'm appreciative of everyone's time. So I do want to close by maybe reading a few comments in the chat. Thank you for making us aware of the language program. I learned so much. Thank you so much. Much gratitude, especially to the generosity of the Tribal Language Program. What a great online resource. This was a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. And I want to extend again our gratitude and appreciation for joining us in this virtual space. We've learned so much, and I'm sure we'll be in touch. So thank you, Paige. Thank you, Amber. And thank you, Jessica.